Hello, hello. Great morning, Facebook. How are you guys doing? Or it's afternoon, actually. And as you can see, I have a full house with me today. We want to make sure that you are prepared for the wrap up of the PPP, but I'm hearing that the extension may be extended. So we'll see if if that happens. But I'm hearing that it may happen actually in real time from the call I was just on. But I'm Renee West, the president of the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. When you first come into the room, of course, share this out. Be sure to share this out with other business owners. I am getting a little feedback, but I don't know. Austin, mute real quick for me. And when you talk, you may have to unmute. If you guys could just comment and tell me if the sound is fine on your end, because there's some people in the room. If you can just let me know right now that the sound is fine, please. But as we get started here for the chamber organization, just make sure if you want to connect with us, if you want to connect with the chamber, you can go to our website at www.mygabc.org. Again, this is your PPP Wrap Up session. As you see that we have even additional guests in the room, so I'm excited, but I'm gonna let everybody introduce themselves this morning as we continue to get more folks into the room. Guys, it's storming bad here in our city right now, so if I lose internet connection, I will come back. But I have my last call, my internet, the power was going in and out actually. So just be aware of that. So just in case that happens, just stay, I'll get us back on and so forth. Okay. So I'm going to start with Austin because you came on last year and did an awesome presentation regarding the PPP, and it helps so many business owners in the CSRA to get through the PPP process and be able to get qualified and so forth. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll mute just to make sure there's no feedback.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the members of the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce, and thank Ronique for giving us the opportunity to present to you this morning. This is an important time in the lives of our entrepreneurial journey as small business owners, and knowing that we have programs like the Paycheck Protection Program to help us get through these hard times. It's a wonderful thing. My name is Austin Thompson. I am a small business consultant, strategist, business planning consultant, marketing, operations, and feasibility analysis. I work with small business owners primarily in the 0 to 5 year range of the small business startup, and not just only in the 0 to 5 year range, but also for existing businesses that are beyond that 5 year range. So I thank you again for having us this morning, and I look forward to this this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm just so excited to have you on, and then I'll go right to who I see next, Michelle Valburn, and hopefully I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, please correct me. But if you could go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody that is live with us right now.
That's perfect. Yep, it's pronounced Michelle, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Valburn. I'm a certified public accountant, tax strategist, and author, and basically what I help people do is help you all save $10,000 to $100,000 in taxes legally and ethically, so helping you navigate the tax code and knowing what you need to do proactively to be able to save you money on taxes and avoid any issues down the line.
Thank you for that. And then last but not least, Nicole Mitchell, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Nicole Mitchell. I'm the president and principal consultant for HR Biz LLC, and we work with similar small to medium-sized businesses on the human resources side, which is usually in the background, and people aren't necessarily focused on those issues. But especially at this time, as Austin said, it's critical to make sure that the PPP was all tied up into payroll and documents and how you manage your employees. So our efforts are always to make sure that the business owner is good, that they're ready for success, and that they're doing all of the compliant things that they need to do, not just to get funding, but to make sure that the business grows and thrives. So we work on a custom basis. What you need is what we provide, whether it's a smaller or a bigger project. So happy to be here and provide whatever information that I can.
Okay, great. So guys, as you come into the room, tag some business owners Also, share this out with other entrepreneurs. We're going to get this conversation right started. You can put your questions in the comments below. We'll, save for the end for a little time for questions at the end from the 3 experts we have in front of you guys. This is huge. You got a CPA, PHR, and you have a awesome business consultant in front of you today. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys get ready with the presentation. I'm just gonna add the presentation to the stream. Is that right, Austin? Now, okay.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then I will be in the background. I'm still here, but I'm gonna go off camera and I'll let you guys. I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thanks again. This presentation will be interactive, and we will definitely get feedback, not only from me, but from our awesome HR consultant and our awesome CPA. These 2 individuals are the respected authorities in their own space, so definitely we want to make sure that we're engaging them during this call. So previously, what we're going to do now is we're going to, for the overview, a brief discussion on the American Rescue Plan, how the bill impacts small business owners, PPP 1 versus PPP 2. I call PPP 2 the sequel. PPP 1 forgiveness, the impact on HR decisions and employees, impact on tax and accounting obligations, and then we're going to do some wrap up. All right. So basically, right now we are in the second phase of the Paycheck Protection Program, right? If you remember, under the CARES Act, PPP 1, businesses with 500 or less employees were targeted for this program. It was unfortunate that many businesses with, who were larger models received a majority of the funding, and smaller businesses like micro enterprises, independent consultants, solos, we were the ones that were left out. And I think that's one of the reasons why, well, not that I think, but I know that's one of the reasons why it was so important for the American Rescue Plan and PPP 2. The PPP program, the original $350 billion was allocated. Entrepreneurs can access up to 10 million in loans, which was significant, and 75% of that had to be used to payroll. Right now, with the second draw, PPP 2, they're focusing more on smaller businesses. They're focusing more on people like you and I. Right. Not that they didn't do it the first time, but they're making it more of a focus this second time around, because there was massive complaints that many of us, the mom and pop models, restaurants, retail outlets, cafes, and so on and so forth, our independent consultants really didn't have access to the funding from the first draw. So there's more of a focus on that this draw. So it focuses on businesses with less than 300 employees. The allocation for the PPP program alone is $7.25 billion, right? Which is less than the first, but it's still an opportunity for us to get access to much needed funds. And there's still funds from the first round, from the first draw, still available that has not been accessed. So that's a good opportunity for us to seek that. Entrepreneurs have access up to $2 million in loans. 60% must be used for payroll. So that's the criteria. This time around, there was a time window for businesses with 20 employees or less to access the funding, even though the deadline has passed, because the deadline was March 10th. However, I'm going to talk a little bit about HR 1799, a bill that I had the pleasure of being a part of on the ground with the business owners here in the 7th Congressional District, and we're going to get into a little bit about that. So basically, for small business relief with the PPP 2, the bill allots $50 billion, right, for small businesses, $50 billion in financial relief. $28.6 billion is allocated for restaurant revitalization, right? So if you are running a restaurant, a mom and pop restaurant, or a larger scale restaurant, you have access to $28.6 billion for the revitalization. Whether you have to shut down or whether you're on the verge of shutting down, you have access to that funding. An additional $15 billion for EIDL advances. So the economic injury disaster loan, which was made through the SBA, the Small Business Administration, there is additional funding in that aspect as well. Of course, an additional $7.25 billion for the PPP, which is forgivable, providing that you adhere and you are compliant with the guidelines set by the U.S. Department of Treasury. So that's very important, and we're going to talk about that. $1.25 billion for concert and live event operators. I know many of us in the event planning space, because I'm an event planner as well. If you are a concert planner, an event planner, there is $1.25 billion for you set aside in this American Rescue Plan. So that's great. $10 billion for state small business loan programs, and each state will be able to allocate monies to small businesses within that specific state. And I know even in the state of Georgia, I've read where Stone Mountain, the city of Atlanta, even here in Gwinnett County, have been accessing previous funding for small businesses within those municipalities and within those counties. So that's additional funding, and that's tremendous, because what they're doing is providing as much bandwidth for us to access funding, and that's important for us to really understand. PPP2 eligibility, the percent reduction, again, must have about 300 or less employees, full or part-time. That's where the focus is. Must have experience at a 25% reduction in revenue from 2020 relative to 2029. So over while filing in 2020, you have to show that there's a 25% minimum reduction in revenue from 2019 to show that, hey, the coronavirus, the pandemic, impacted my revenues negatively, and I can reflect 25% or more in reduction in revenue. So you have to show that while applying for it. I did an example. I like perfect round numbers, so 100,000 in 2019. If you generated 100,000 in revenue in 2019, and providing that you guys have your P&Ls, a profit and loss statement, and you are tracking your revenues, maybe you're using QuickBooks or some sort of an Excel spreadsheet to track your revenues and expenses, you will be able to determine exactly what your revenues were in 2019. And if you show a 25% reduction, let's say you lost 25,000 in 2020, and you can reflect that, then you will be eligible, because you have to show that reduction. You have to show and prove that I lost clients, I lost opportunities for sales, because now with unemployment being high, that's customers, that's discretionary income that my target market didn't have to spend with me, and that caused a reduction in revenue. So that's really important to show how it negatively impacts your revenues. I'm going a little fast, but I'm sure Ronique is tracking questions, because I really want Nicole and Michelle to interject, and feel free to interject, guys, whenever you see something, rather than we're going in succession. So I really want to allow time for questions as well. PPP2 eligibility, calculating revenue using your profit and loss statement, as I stated. Your profit and loss statement reflects your revenues, it reflects your expenses, right? And your net profits are calculated by subtracting your expenses from your revenues, right? So again, showing the reduction in revenue. Revenue is top line, right? Net profits is bottom line. So once you show that reduction, you're not looking at cost of sales or cost of goods sold. You're basically looking at top line, like your revenues. And if you show a 25% reduction in that, then that's one of the qualifiers, right? One of the documents, basically your P&L, and another would be your income tax returns from 2019 and 2020, okay? Those are the two documents that you can use in order to file for your for the second draw of the PPP. The draw, basically, the borrower must have received the first draw. So you must have received the first draw, right, and used up the money from the first draw to be eligible for PPP2, because it is an extension. What it does is gives you additional funding to what you received the first time around, right? And again, for the criteria, it requires you to use that money. 60% of that money is used to rehire those staff that you had to lay off to cut costs. If you had to save costs and save cash, it's used to rehire those you've laid off, right? And for your overhead expenses like rent, utilities, and salaries, right? So that's the criteria that you must. Anything outside of that would disqualify you for forgiveness, right? So if you're looking to qualify for forgiveness, you have to use the funding for what the Department of Treasury says you must use your funding for, and that's for personnel expenses and for overhead costs, right? If you were eligible for PPP-1, if you were ineligible, excuse me, you're not eligible for PPP-2, all right? So you have to have been eligible for the first draft in order to be eligible for the second draft, right? 2020 forgiven loans from PPP should not be counted as revenue, right? So if you receive $50,000 from the first draw, right, and you were forgiven, you applied for forgiveness and you were forgiven, you can't use that $50,000 as revenue. It's not revenue. You didn't generate it. It was basically a loan that converted into a grant because you were compliant with the Department of Treasury's criteria, right? So you can't use that money that was forgiven as revenue in 2020. So that has to be understood, okay? The loan, basically monthly payroll calculation, payroll times a factor of 2.5, right? So let's say, for instance, if your monthly payroll is 50,000, you multiply a factor of 2.5, right? In order to determine what your payroll cost would be. So that's an outline for the application process, right? So let's say, for instance, if you're asking for 200,000, right? And let's say 125 out of that 200,000 qualifies for 60%, because that's like about 62.5% of the total amount asked that will be allocated to payroll, because you have to use 60% of the disbursement for payroll. That's one of the requirement. Okay. The PPP-2 max is 2 million, right? Whereas with the first draw was 10 million, the second draw is 2 million. Okay. So it's either the payroll times a factor of 2.5 or the full 2 million, as long as you can show and you can show exactly the need for the funding in this second draw, as you may have did with the first draw, right? The borrower can use either your 2019 or 2020 payroll, right? For the second draw, right? If you are a hotel or restaurant, it is a monthly payroll it is a monthly calculation for your payroll times 3.5, right? For a non-hotel, non-restaurant, because the NAICS basically dictates codes for hotel and restaurants, right? Or maybe even if you're operating a bed and breakfast or maybe an Airbnb, that has to be, determined. It's a factor of 3.5, right? If you're using the same lender for the PPP-2, let's say, for instance, if you went to your own bank where you have your business account, and you went back and you received funding from the first draw, you can go back to that same bank, or whatever bank you used for your first draw. You can go back to that bank for the PPP-2, and you don't need to resubmit your payroll information because they already have your payroll information. You basically just use the forms that's required to apply for the second draw. All right. And those forms, basically the first draw would have been 2483. The second draw application is the 2483 SD, which designates second draw, right? So that would be the form that you would use for the PPP-2, okay? For the PPP-2, basically the payroll forms we have here is the W-4, the federal income, not fax, but tax withholding. You're not withholding any faxes. the tax withholding for employees, the federal unemployment tax 940 and the 941 used for federal income tax, Social Security tax, and Medicare tax withholdings. All right, and I'll let Nicole interject here because she deals a lot with the payroll and the human resources side of things, and she can definitely reinforce what I have just stated here.
Thanks, Austin. And yes, definitely in terms of the required payroll forms, one of the additional things that I wanted to share in terms of the size of the organization and the classifications, that there are alternatives. If you are a small business owner, a sole proprietor, a lot of people left themselves out. My philosophy with the PPP was let them tell you no before you decide that I don't qualify because I don't have certain forms, which will also depend on the lender that you go through. So making sure that you do have these forms, but having your tax returns, and I'm sure Michelle will talk about that, but utilizing the tax information that you have, same as the first PPP and the second one, there is an opportunity if you have your return done and your Schedule C, particularly for sole proprietors, then that's the information that they're looking at to determine what your revenue is. So again, don't think that I don't have it. If I see these three forms and say I don't have one of those, it must not apply to me. That there are other tax, forms and information that can prove your payroll, especially if you're paying to yourself or you're a smaller entity. So I'll turn it back to you, Austin, and talk more about it in a little while.
All right, great. Thank you very much. And again, Nicole Mitchell is my go-to for anything HR, and she's a tremendous resource. Michelle Valbrun is my go-to for anything, CPA related. So definitely make sure you get your questions in, and you can follow up with these individuals after this presentation. All right, so let's let me see here. Up. Okay. So now we're going to talk about, I know Ronique mentioned a little bit about the PPP extension. I had the privilege of working along with Congresswoman Bordeaux, being that I'm politically active in the 7th Congressional District. So I work along with several politicians, not just in the 7th Congressional District, but in Cobb County and DeKalb County as well. And I had the pleasure of working with Cara Bordeaux's team on just basically getting questions and getting feelers from small businesses in the county on what is negatively impacting them, what is negatively affecting them, what type of services they're looking for, how can we basically help them, right? What's needed. So basically, Congresswoman Bordeaux is a member of the U.S. House of Representatives representing the 7th Congressional District of Georgia. And she was the bill sponsor. She's on the Small Business Committee with the U.S. House. And she's the bill sponsor of H.R. 1799, which is the PPP Extension Act of 2021. There's a picture there on the top right of her presenting the bill. Representative Bordeaux, along with other members of the Small Business Committee, presented that bill 2 weeks ago. The bill passed successfully in the House 415-3. I don't know who were the 3 individuals that voted against it, but hey, the bill passed. And then, of course, after it passes the House, it has to go to the Senate. So it has to pass in the Senate, in which it did, resoundingly 93-7 in the Senate. And then, of course, the bill will be passed on to the president to sign to become law, right? The purpose of the bill, basically, it provides an additional 60 days for small businesses to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program 2 for the second draw. If you realize the second draw applying for the second draw expires on the 31st of this month. Realizing that it was an insufficient window, they decided to, Representative Bordeaux and her small business team decided to rise and petition for legislation to extend that time. So now the window has been extended now another 60 days. So you have an additional 60 days to go ahead and apply Once it's signed into law, and I'm assuming, sometime by the end of this week, it will be signed into law. You have an additional 60 days. So that's until May 31st. I would recommend do not wait any longer. If you procrastinated this long, do not wait any longer. Don't wait until May 1st, May 15th. Do it now, because they're giving you an extra 60 days. It also provides an additional 30 days for the SBA to process those applications, right? So there's been a lot of applications caught up in the pipeline, and it gives an additional 30 days, right, for the SBA to process those applications. So the government says, hey, we're giving you an extra bandwidth of time to apply for the PPP. Please take advantage of that. Okay, please take advantage of that. So HR 1799, we have the House and the Senate to thank, the U.S. House and the Senate to thank for that, and Congresswoman Carolyn Bordeaux to thank for sponsoring the bill. All right. All right. Let me. Okay. Make sure. All right. Again, for loan forgiveness, employee and compensation levels must be maintained. The loan proceeds are spent on payroll costs and other eligible expenses, which are basically your overhead expenses. And I can't stress enough, because last year, as Ronique stated earlier, last year I was basically doing a lot of these webinars, and I had some folks call me afterward and they say, hey, well, I want to use it to get another building, and I want to do XYZ. And I'm like, no. I said, basically, I just redirected them back to the information on the site of the U.S. Department of Treasury, right? If the U.S. Department of Treasury states 75%, and I'm talking about the first draw, 75% of your payroll must be, 75% of the borrowed money must be spent on payroll, right? And 25% on overhead costs, then do that. Do not deviate from the criteria, because you will have to pay that back. Whatever you go outside that barrier, you have to pay that back, right? Just like this time around, 60% on payroll, 40% on overhead costs, right? So that must be adhered to, and that's something that I think a lot of people thought that, hey, they're getting all this free money and they can do whatever they want to. Business owners, I can't emphasize enough: do not let the IRS come after you. Do not let the IRS come after you. Follow the SBA guidelines and follow the guidelines of the U.S. Department of Treasury. They're the ones setting the guidelines, and so we must follow that. There's a link here to the SBA. I'm going to leave this presentation with Ronique, and she can pass it out to all of you who are on the call today. And it takes you directly to PPP loan forgiveness information on the SBA site. All right. Okay, let me go on to the next slide. Okay. So important links would be U.S. Department of Treasury. I also added that deductions of expenses. So if you had some expenses that you're deducting on your taxes, there's some great information on the U.S. Department of Treasury's website. Okay. Marks Pineth Accounts and Advisors. There's a good article that I researched on federal and state tax consequences. But we're gonna have our CPA, our resident CPA, Michel Valbrun, who's gonna basically give some recommendations of his own. The IRS, if you did not get loan forgiveness, this is another great article by the IRS. I would recommend. Again, I'll leave this with Ronique, and she can send it out to you all, and you can just click on the links and go directly to those articles. Okay. Recommendations I've made: basically seek advisement from your CPA or a tax accountant. Do not, if you're unsure of anything, right, that's tax related, seek advisement from your CPA or whoever does your taxes. If you do your own taxes, but you find it it's a little bit, there's some gray area that you really don't understand, don't mess yourself up. Make sure you seek the advisement of a CPA and a tax accountant, right? Do not file on your own. Let the accountant file for you. Follow up with the SBA, the IRS, or the Department of Treasury on those websites for further assistance. If you have specific questions for the PPP, either the first draw or the second draw, and even forgiveness, definitely follow up with these sites because they have all the information there for you that's specific to those questions you may have. Okay. Right now, I'll turn it over to Michelle, and I know he's going to have some additional information from his authority as a CPA, a certified public accountant, that he will want to add to this discussion.
Hey, Austin, thank you for the great presentation. Honestly, I think this was pretty thorough with what you shared, but there's a couple things I do want to highlight and kind of reiterate throughout the presentation, and Nicole did a great job at reinforcing this thing as well. But yes, if you are a sole proprietorship, if you are a single member LLC, typically you're not paying yourself what's called payroll. And, we hear PPP and it's the Paychecks Protection Program. And you think because you don't have payroll, because you don't have employees, because you're not paying yourself, you can't take advantage of this. So definitely take advantage of it. As Austin stated, this go around, we're looking to give smaller businesses, even minority-owned businesses, more opportunities to be able to receive the funds. They've distributed even more funds to minority-owned banks as well. So making sure that you're working with professionals is going to be, very important for you in order to make sure that you're successful during this process. They have made it a little bit easier, but it's always good to get the guidance and advice of, working with that professional. Typically a CPA is usually a good place to start, but there are other professionals who are aware of the process that can help you walk through it as well. And then making sure that you're using the funds correctly, right? So that's 60%, making sure that you're using it on payrolls, and making sure you're using it on mortgage interest, utilities, all the different things to make sure that you are able to get that portion forgiven, and making sure that you're having good accounting records as well is going to be critical for you, because one of the things that they're going to absolutely ask for is, one, making sure that you have your financials in place to even qualify for it, and then two, making sure that you have the documentation to support that you did use the allowable expenses as well. And one thing to also note as well is, with these funds, they're going to want to show your business is going to need to show that it's profitable, right? So if you happen to if you're operating at a loss, that is going to impact your chances of being able to receive the funds. There are opportunities, there are few lenders that are using the gross income number to allow you to apply for it. Again, that's rare. And, they do limit how much money that they're going to give you. It's generally not as much, but you could use gross income versus the profit if you happen to show a loss in the previous year. But those are some of the things that I wanted to highlight and reiterate. But like I said, this was a very comprehensive and thorough presentation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And we're going to let Nicole follow up on any other recommendations that she wished to provide this morning.
Sure, thank you. And yes, very thorough, all the information, that's needed and required. Just wanted to touch on, as you said, it was the payroll protection program. And so where the incentive was to make sure that employers were able to replace that payroll. If you weren't able to continue to pay your employees, the intention of the program was to be able to say, I'm supplementing or replacing that money. So you can either keep employees on board or go ahead and replace them if you needed to. So making sure, and in the HR world, it's documentation. If it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. So that's going to be critical for you at the forgiveness point, to be able to show the number of employees that you had, the number of employees that you have at the point that you're looking for forgiveness, how they were classified. One of the stipulations was the fact that you could not count 1099 employees in as your employees for the count of number of employees and who you were paying out to. So making sure, even as Michelle said, making sure that if you're a sole proprietor, if it's just you, if it's some employees, some 1099s, what classification someone is in will determine whether or not that's considered as part of the payroll that you're providing. And just if QuickBooks or some other type of system, there are processes that will pull a report out for you that will spit that information out. So making sure to use the resources that you have, as well as professional assistance, to go in and show number of employees, what was paid. You still have the things from the original PPP where there's the covered period, and showing what you did with the money is going to be key. Even for hiring or terminating employees, one of the I think misconceptions was that I have to keep the same number of employees that I have. I have to have them all in the same category. Questions: what do I do if somebody won't come back to work? Do I have to keep them at the same salary that they were? All of those things are, I don't want to say manipulative, but you want to make sure that you're calculating them correctly. If you terminate an employee and you hire a new employee and your FTE count stays the same, that's okay for the forgiveness. What they don't want to happen is that you have employees and then you drop off and you don't have payroll to pay. You can adjust how much that individual makes. There's limitations on the salary. You want to get above 100K in terms of individuals, but making sure that you're monitoring and documenting all of that information so that when you reach the point of having to apply for forgiveness, then you've got what you need. And the 60% of payroll, one of the things I wanted to point out though is that that is a minimum. You can use 100% of the loan for payroll and it would still be forgivable. You can't use more than the 60-40 now. You can't use more than 40% for the other expenses and the other eligible things. But you definitely can, if you have the payroll and it takes up the full amount of the loan, then that's eligible as well. And just as Austin said, one of the distinctions between the first draw and the second draw, that you can go in at this point. If you haven't applied for a PPP before, you can start at this point. It doesn't have to be a second draw of another loan that you had. This can be your first time. You'd fill out the appropriate form and then follow through the process to be able to get to the loan forgiveness. And, key again is just making sure you get the information that you need. I have clients who got a loan as small as $5,000 and others that I had been working with for years that had a $175,000 loan. And just the bigger the amount of money, there may be more calculations that you need to do, but making sure that if you have those documents in place, you can justify you don't want to turn a forgivable loan into some new business debt. It's a great rate, but you don't want that to be something that it's simply because I couldn't prove that I used it for what I was supposed to. So getting those documents together, there is such a thing as partial forgiveness. That's another factor. If you do, for some reason, you're spending and you got above that 40%, you can be forgiven for part of the loan. It's not going to completely eliminate you from being able to be forgiven, but they will not forgive anything that's, above the percentage. So again, best thing is to make sure you understand exactly how much you need to spend. You can segregate it, calculate, like Austin used that easy amount. If it's 60%, know that I should not go above 40,000 in some other expenses because I need to make sure that 60,000 is there. But wherever you find yourself in terms of calculations, and read the forgiveness part just as much as you read the application so that you know. I know people who turn down loans, accepted only part of it because they knew their payroll would never get up to that amount, or they adjusted their employee compensation. So knowing what you have to do in order to get the forgiveness before you apply for the loan or as you're in the process is just as important. So making those good decisions, getting assistance where you need it, understanding what applies to you, will be key to making sure you and your employees are in a good or a better situation than when you originally started. So that's what I've got to add. If there's any questions, happy to answer any specifics.
Yes, thank you very much, Nicole. And again, these consultants, we're based in Atlanta, in the metro Atlanta area, but definitely if you ever need an HR consultant or you need a CPA, I definitely recommend Nicole Mitchell and Michelle Valbrun. So I'm sure they're going to leave their contact information so you can reach out to them. And if you need to follow up with them. But at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Ronique. And if there are any questions, we want questions. We got 15 minutes on this call. So, you know, I do a lot of these webinars, and I'm like, you guys don't have questions? You know, we'd love to answer your questions, and please pose them.
Okay, well, I'm gonna definitely thank you guys for the awesome presentation, but I want to wrap up with some information as well. If you could, for me, Austin, go back to the slide that showed the breakdown of the dollars. I think you had the slide that said PPP2 before I get into this conversation. So we can really give you guys some updates that are happening like on a regular basis, so you're aware of some things. We definitely, as organization, and then even with our coalition of chambers throughout the Southeast, so we work a lot with the Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce, Savannah Black Chamber of Commerce, Beaufort Black Chamber of Commerce, Northeast Black Chamber of Commerce, and others. So it's not just a lot of things you see coming from the chamber is not just the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. I can't stress that enough, guys. And it was the one that had the 15 billion for the restaurants, the amount for the SVOG grant. Yes, that. Okay. So I want to kind of spend a little time on this slide and then just kind of like just reiterate what everybody has a wealth of information. A lot of times our lives will get seen more after the live. So just so everybody's on a live understands that. So I would suggest, come follow us at Facebook on my JABC. Go check the live. You may get some questions afterwards. This will also get repurposed on YouTube for anybody that misses this. We quickly send out links just in case when we get questions, we'll say, hey, check out this webinar, or check out this, live. We just talked about this in detail. It gets all the information, all questions you're asking. We'll of course answer the questions, but then we'll also encourage everyone as well. Now, what I do want to get into and talk about here, and to go ahead and keep tagging your business owners below so they can watch this later, is that one, the SBA is really wanting these loans to be forgiven. They are definitely quoting on a regular basis of 90% plus forgiveness rate. So we want to bring the experts on, as you can see, to make sure you connect with them, make sure you have all your documents that you need so you can make sure you're giving the forgiveness and in compliance. Also, the independent contractor, I was trying to find the 4 bullet points of when Biden signed the things into law where it changed like the PPP qualifications. So the independent contractor, of course, it no longer, you're no longer blocked out if you have I'm trying to say it from the top of my head. If you have a student loan that's in default or whatever, that no longer blocks you out from getting a PPP. Also, if you had a non-violent, I think, crime convention, you also can now apply. So I want to make sure you guys understand this is not just for business owners any longer. These also includes now our independent contractors, which is a lot of our businesses. When you look in the data for the Black community and disadvantaged businesses, and also our sole proprietors. So you want to apply. I like what Nicole said when she said, apply even if you think you don't qualify. That's a good thing. Only thing you're gonna get is a no. Go ahead and apply. Even if you don't think, go ahead and submit it. I think you should definitely do that. Take that advice. We are constantly giving out information as a chamber of where you should apply to. I know that a lot of, if you're not able to get through the traditional banks, a lot of people have been using Womply.com or Cabbage.com and been finding success. So those are 2 other, definitely you can go through that process pretty quickly and they will get you connected with the lender, or they are the lender. I gave 2 different ones and I'll drop it in the comments as well, so that you will be able to successfully get those possible loans or grants for your business. Now, the restaurant revitalization fund, we haven't heard how that's going to be handled as of yet for the 28.6 billion, but we did get the SVOG grant information. That is that 1.25 billion for those live operator venues. That information did come down. So we know those applications will be opening up here on April 8th from the SBA. And you can definitely begin to apply. We are watching these grants really closely as an organization. The thing about this, though, and this is why I wanted to point this out on this live, is for this grant, it actually, I'm reading from the SBA what email I actually received. However, under the law, entities will be ineligible for a PPP loan after they receive the SVOG grant. So you can get both now, but it's very critical of how you apply for each. So this is why this is very critical. So if you want to get both of the grant and the loan, you want to go ahead and make sure you get that PPP application in and get approved before you apply for the SVOG grant. But that grant is coming open on April 8th. So hopefully you've already got your PPP and you've already gotten the funds and you're not worried about that. But I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware, before we knew that that was a knockout, you couldn't get both when it came to that grant, but the SBA or the administration has changed it so you can get both, but it depends on the order that you apply in. So you could inadvertently knock yourself out. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that PPP loan if you want to get both, or you can just wait and do the SVOG grant. So that's totally up to you guys if you want to do that. But I'll drop that actual website below so you can kind of watch for when that is coming open. As well as March 31st is the current deadline, but it looks like the administration is pushing through, which we've been hearing that on calls, that will be pushed 60 days. So we're looking to hopefully they get signs into law. Of course, we can't say that it's official yet, but we're hopeful that it's going to happen. We're thinking it is. It looks like it will. So be sure you take advantage of that. And then Michelle mentioned earlier about the calculation. Now, according to the SBA on a federal level, everybody should be using the new calculation. So I'm not sure why some are using the old and some are using the new. But from the SBA federal level, they've said that everybody should be actually going under that new calculation. Not quite sure if they are aware of that, but they should be going with that gross calculation over that. It was line 31 or 33, I think, before. Now I moved up to line 7 on your Schedule C or so forth, or whatever, that document. So using that gross calculation. So hopefully if you're not connected to a lender that's using that gross calculation, get connected to one, so that way you can get approved for the PPP if you're not being approved because they're using the old calculation. But from understanding from a federal level, the SBA, they were saying that everybody would be updated to that gross calculation. So I am constantly in contact with them on a regular basis, just because we want to get the most accurate information to the business owners and so forth as a group. Now, guys, as you come into the room, if you have any comments for the guests before I let them go ahead and drop them down below. We know also from the $1 trillion the $1 trillion relief plan from Biden, we have been tracking, the city and municipalities have gotten a certain amount of funding. Hopefully you've been engaged with the chamber. We've been updating you guys on the different cities and what amounts they're expecting. Some cities have allocated it out. Some cities are really working to do things in their community. It just kind of depends on where you're at, but the best time to get that information from us is on our 9 a.m. call each Friday, where we're giving you updates in real time of what's really going on in the CSRA area. So I want to give everybody a little bit to give any last comments. I want to do that quick wrap up. I appreciate you guys for definitely engaging with the CSRA community here in Augusta. We are an organization that is passionate about delivering the accurate information to our community, connecting our business owners with technical support. And then I know, Austin, I get to see you tomorrow, so we'll talk about that before we get off the live. But I'm going to go ahead and let Nicole do a quick wrap up and give out your contact information. I do have it below. Michelle, if you want to chat with me privately and send me your information so I can make sure I have everything you want me to share. I did find your website, but I didn't find anything else. So you can chat that with me and I'll drop that in too.
So again, thanks for the opportunity. Always happy to share with small business owners. And the two things I said, let them tell you no, and don't wait until the last minute. The last round I had people who were in and they found out after the fact it wasn't that their information wasn't correct, but it never made it to the SBA because they waited until the day of to try to submit it, and thousands are going in. So be proactive, get the information together. Again, I'm Nicole Mitchell with HR Biz, and it's www.hrbizgroup.com. And my information is there. Please feel free. I do a free consultation just to understand what you need or just answer questions. So happy to be here, and good luck to all the business owners.
Thank you, Michelle. Can't get to the mute quick enough to get out there. So thank you for that update. Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and I'm going to grab your information. I'll pull it up, but I want to give you any last words, give your contact information, anything else you would like to share with the business owner. I want to see more of us take advantage of this opportunity. I just want to say that real quick before I give it over to Michelle. So apply, guys, even if you're not sure, because again, these are supposed to be forgiven. That's my understanding from the SBA, and most of them are being forgiven. So don't let that deter you. But it's a lot of grants and stuff coming down as well. So just stay informed and stay connected with the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce so we can make sure you're getting the latest information.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and echo everything you just mentioned. So yes, definitely take advantage of this opportunity. This is a unique time in our country's history where the government is giving out these funds for very favorable terms. So making sure that you take advantage of it, especially if you've been significantly impacted by the pandemic and everything that's been going on. So definitely take advantage of that. The best way to contact me, I shared my information, but you can reach out to me via email at contact@michellevalbrun.com. Also, you can go ahead and check out Valbrun Group. You can on there, you can go ahead and book an appointment with me if you wanted to discuss further your situation and kind of get some advice and guidance on that. But yeah, again, thank you for the opportunity, and definitely looking forward to connecting with you all.
Thank you for that, Michelle. And then, of course, last but not least, Mr. Austin, for bringing us all together today and always answering the call and sharing so much great information and doing so much great things for your community and the Atlanta and Augusta, of course, area. You've been down here once already. You're coming again tomorrow. I'll let you kind of announce what you're doing with some of the members that signed up for it and what you have going on in your world.
Well, thanks again. Before I continue, I just want to wish all of our femalepreneurs on this call happy International Women's Month. We all have to big up and recognize our female entrepreneurs for taking the risks and starting businesses, growing businesses, creating employment, and helping to contribute to the success of our economy. My name is Austin Thompson, and I'm a small business consultant. What Ronique spoke to, I will be out tomorrow interviewing several small business owners and entrepreneurs out in the Augusta area. It's part of my On Location Spotlight entrepreneurial feature where I interview, business owners. I interview business owners, whether you have a bricks and mortar or whether you work from home, whether you have employees or whether you're independent. I love to tell your stories. I love to hear your stories. And I post all of my videos on my YouTube channel. And I give the entrepreneurs the link for them to use for whatever they wish to do with. So again, I would love if there's anyone who, whether you're out there in Augusta, whether you're in the metro area, I travel. I get on the road and I travel. So I love to. I love to hear your stories, and I think each one of us has a personal story of triumph, how we got started, how we were able to transition from a vision to a tangible business and growing and what's the ups and downs, the failures and success stories. And it's great that we can share our story with other entrepreneurs. I'm a small business strategist. I work on business planning and marketing and operations, especially focusing now on lean strategy planning, helping small businesses get through the pandemic and preparing to get out of it. You can reach me at tmconsultingllc.com. My phone number is 404-587-3949. I also do small business conferences. Rich now, they're online, but they're just as good and just as engaging. And we had one last night, which was our marketing webinar next month, April 29th. It's all about sales, right? It's all about sales. So definitely check my event website at b2bconference.net, where I'll be posting all the events. Nicole and Michelle have been speakers and facilitators in past events, and they will be speakers in future events. These are my go-to consultants. So our job is, we're servants, man. We serve the small business community. We love to give back. And we want to make sure that we as African-American business owners are being successful and doing successfully, and maintaining, not just establishing our businesses, but we want to sustain those businesses successfully as well. And we want to transition you from a hustle to a tangible, successful, long-term business. So again, my name is Austin Thompson, and I thank Ronique West, and the Greater Augusta Black Chamber. For those of you who I'm interviewing tomorrow, I look forward to speaking with you. And you, Ronique, look forward to interviewing you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I tried to back out the interview, but he was not going for it. You called it as soon as my EA sent it out. You was like, where's your name? I was like, we have one more person who just commented who's getting ready to join the chamber today. She would like to know if you still have a slot open to interview her possibly. I know it's kind of on the spot, but you want us to get her scheduled for tomorrow?
I'll be back out. I definitely want to commit the 20 to 30 minutes for each entrepreneur and yourself. Yeah. I'll definitely schedule a second trip out there. Like I said, I will travel.
Okay. So we'll have to get him scheduled back out. I know that we scheduled kind of from 10 to 2, I think, and we did have a lot of people, everybody kind of take a slot. So that at that point in time, so we did get booked up pretty quickly with this initiative. But just this is a reason to be engaged with the chamber and to make sure you're a member, because we're constantly making sure we put our business owners at the forefront as the organization, and then continue to network throughout the state of Georgia. This is what makes Augusta, the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce, unique. We not only focus on the local area and the CSRA area, but you will begin to get highlighted throughout the state of Georgia and South Carolina. Can't forget about my South Carolina partners. OMG, cannot forget about that. They have done some great things and have some great initiatives that are coming up as well. So that is all we have for you today. This was a great live. Thank you again, Austin Thompson. Thank you again, Michelle Valburn and Nicole Mitchell. I look forward to working with you guys again in the future. So anytime that I got some information you want to try to share out, connect with us. We always like to put events together and so forth for our organization. We cover the entire CSRA area. So even though this is kind of more directed towards Augusta right now, we actually have a lot of initiatives that will be happening in other counties. So so just stay engaged with us, because we cover the whole CSRA area, and then different counties will see this information. People are saying thank you. This was great information. My questions were answered during the presentations is what they want you to know. So you did an awesome presentation, everybody. So we pretty much gathered and answered all the questions for all the business owners on this live. Again, if you want to connect with the chamber, you can connect with us on our website at www.mygabc.org. I encourage you to sign up for our text messaging system at mygabc at 833-685-1242. And that is how you can get connected with us. Of course, you can always join to become a member on our website, but we are definitely an organization that is committed to serving the community. And you can just go ahead and see what we have coming up. I'm trying to think what else we got going on. It's a lot, but we'll be closing out Women's History Month, March 31st, next Wednesday. I'll be back live with some free screenings and so forth in the community. So you guys know that entrepreneurs, business owners, it's important you take care of your health. We also have a Health is Wealth initiative starting each first Monday of each month. We will be meeting at the Bexplex, have an exercise, 20-30 minutes, and then we're going to have a health talk. We want our entrepreneurs, business owners, our community to be focused on health while we're doing our businesses and everything. This is critical, especially the time we just went through a pandemic. We want our community to be fully healthy on a mental, physical level as well. So we as a chamber will be having a lot of health initiatives just to encourage and lead by example. So we're excited about that. It will feature local business owners and trainers. The tickets are available now. People are starting to purchase them. We will social distance, so be sure that it will be limited space. So go ahead and get your ticket as well. You can find that on our actual website as well for our events. I think that's it. I'm trying to make sure as a president, I'm getting all my duties out. I've been in a lot of meetings this Friday. I think this may be the 5th one of the day already, and we haven't even hit 2:00. So what I'm going to say is just make sure you connect with us. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MyGABC. Be sure that you connect with everybody that you see on the live. We got a CPA, a PHR, and a awesome business consultant on the live so you can get information, get them connected to you and your businesses and so forth. I know that they all have value they can bring into your business. And then remember, we are one community, one voice, and the voice of Black business. I bid you a good day, and everyone have a great one. Thank you.